The South African Digital Marketing Podcast is made in collaboration with Sean Lutz. Coming up in this episode of the South African Digital Marketing Podcast.
A CMO's role is to understand everything.
Doesn't that make you feel a little bit dizzy?
I really love working with brands where the brand has a purpose.
It's a lot harder to change a whole attitude from a person.
Even though I was super senior in my organization, it wasn't about that. It was about how I feel about myself.
Are you increasing business for us, bottom line?
I was the first one in. I was the last one out.
Hello and welcome to the South African Digital Marketing Podcast. My name is Terrence Mentor and I'm a digital marketer who's realized that since this industry is constantly changing, we need to be constantly learning, and the best way to learn all the things is to talk to the people who are doing all of the things. In season 3, I'm talking to CMOs, heads of marketing, and other leaders of marketing people about the reality of their positions. In this episode, I spoke to Bronwyn Pretorius, Chief Marketing Officer of Ackermans. You can find out a lot more about Bronwyn's career and the work that she does with Ackermans in LinkedIn. I'll put a link to her bio in the show notes. But in this conversation, we spoke about her pathway to that position of CMO, how she manages a team that's doing so many different activities, and what kind of attitude it takes to get into that CMO chair. So let's get into it. Here's Bronwyn.
So I am Bronwyn Pretorius. I am the Chief Marketing Officer of Ackermans, which is part of the Pepcore Group, the biggest apparel retailer in Africa. And where I am right now is in my office with the door closed, because if it's not closed, I'm going to have lots of people running in and out of my office, asking questions. And yeah, I'm based in Cape Town, so very happy to be chatting to you this morning.
Great. So you're probably as cold as I am right now as well.
I am freezing. I'm freezing. I have a special blanket in one of my drawers. So it's one that I bring out. It's not very glamorous, but it does the job, in winter in Cape Town.
It's all about surviving in Cape Town winter.
Totally,
That's what we're trying to do. Could you tell me about, you've mentioned the fact that there's lots of people going to be coming in and out, asking questions, needing decisions to be made. Tell me a little bit more about the team that you actually do lead.
I lead a fantastic team, a group of very diverse individuals, diverse in terms of thinking, diverse in terms of the sub-departments that they work in. So it's a team of about 45 people. I even have 3 interns who started recently, who are doing a fantastic job, I must say. So it's a combination of, we have brand teams. I have a head of brand, I have head of customer, I have a head of retail marketing, and then I also have a head of commercial marketing. And within those departments, we have a combination of advertising managers, brand managers, PR managers, digital marketers, designers, content team, a studio team with photographers, stylists. It's a combination of creativity, data analytics, BI. The customer team consists of research, Salesforce, journey builders. So it goes from the one end of the spectrum all the way to the other end of the spectrum. So really, really amazing team. We've grown quite a bit in the last year and a half since I've joined. I've added some extra individuals in certain parts of the department where I believe that the focus should be, especially with the age in which we're in right now, so in digital and social media, especially organic social media, which I think a lot of people take for granted. And so that's the space that I've grown quite a bit. And then I have an amazing creative agency called 99 Cents. And there is also roughly about 45 people that support our team at Ackermans. And then we have Kantara, who's our digital media agency, and PhD, who is also one of our media agencies that we work with. We have a PR agency that we work with as well. So yeah, it's not just this team that sits in Cape Town that do all the work. We have lots of support systems, what I like to call our tribe and our village, that help us get to the level of excellence that we like to display to our consumers.
When you kind of take that step back and look at the broader family, team, tribe is the word you used, doesn't that make you feel a little bit dizzy? Because as you're talking, I'm feeling a little bit anxious on your behalf, just thinking about all of the, not just the technical things that have to happen and the tasks that the team carries out underneath you, but dealing with those people. The people part of it must be quite a huge aspect of your job.
I'm very lucky in the aspect that I have a team and my leadership team that report into me that are wonderful. They are extremely experienced. They know what they're doing. I can trust them very much so, because that would give me anxiety if I couldn't trust them. And so therefore the support that I have with my heads of department, they are the ones that are the reason that we are able to churn out so much in a very, very short amount of time, and context switch from, okay, what does this data analytics report tell us, to research, to, ooh, this is a really beautiful model, and I really like their outfit, kind of thing. So they really are the ones that I would say are the reason this department is so solid and doing such an amazing job, because I am one individual and I could never do everything on my own without my supportive team. I definitely don't think we'd be having the success that we're having right now. So I'm very grateful to them. That would give me a lot of anxiety if I didn't have them in the room. And I do joke with them a lot, and I say that yesterday I was on shoot with two of them, and I said they never can leave. They're signed in for life. There's no notice period, you know, because without
It's
them, I'm terrible.
infinity.
So, you know,
It's just an infinite notice period. You got to wait until the sun
100%
dies.
infinite,
That's when you.
infinite. We'll go together, one day.
Yeah, just
It's
like the
it's
A team
a
that
group
roams
deal.
around.
It's a group deal.
I would love to talk to you more about context switching a little bit later on. For now, though, maybe it would be good to know how you got to this place of being a CMO. Starting out as a brand manager and then working your way up through the ranks in various different organizations. Can you maybe give us a little bit more insight into how you feel you got here? What experiences did you have to have? Skill sets did you have to develop? Things like that.
I definitely didn't start out as glamorous as a brand manager. I mean, yeah, my entry into marketing wasn't that glamorous. I initially studied law when I left school, and I was going to be a lawyer. I idolized Ally McBeal. I was going to be this little woman, this petite woman that was just going to own the world of law. I started studying law, and 1 year in, I was like, I hate this. it's it's not
This
for
is not
me.
like Ally McBeal. There's no
It's not
dancing
like Ally
babies in the
McBeal.
bathrooms.
I don't know what's going on. It's like not as glamorous at all. But my mind is very much a combination of, I love being creative. I believe I'm an extremely creative person, but I also love numbers. So the combination of those two things, I was like, what kind of world would suit where I'm at? So I was still studying law, and then I visited a production house at one of my family members she was working at, and I was like, what is this? What is this life? What do you people do here? It looks like so much fun. And she was actually a TV producer at the time. And I was like, oh, tell me a little bit more. Job shadowed her for a little while. And I was like, okay, cool. I think I'm going to get into this world of marketing, which unlocks the combination of being very strategic, creative, but also there's numbers in there because you study things like economics, and you study things like accounting in the beginning. And so I went into marketing, studied marketing, but my dad said to me, you want to switch from law to something else, you're going to have to pay for your own studies. So good luck. And then I landed a job at a media agency. It was Aegis Media, and I was a media assistant there, part-time media assistant, a part-time receptionist, actually. And what I learned there really, I think, fueled my excitement for the world of marketing, because there you get to meet the media owners, the likes of Prime Media, the likes of SABC, and you're like, ETV. Wow, this is how clients come to people like this, and they turn their creative ideas into something phenomenal. After that, I finished my studies, and I got what I would call my first real job in marketing at ShopRite. So ShopRite Group of Companies, obviously everybody knows ShopRite Group of Companies, the biggest retailer in Africa. And I was not a brand manager. I was, at the time, a brand team assistant. So that
Right.
was my first job.
So
I
really
then
starting in the trenches, like that's
really
where you.
starting in the
Yeah.
trenches. I mean, my job literally was, I don't know if your listeners would remember, but some of the millennial listeners would probably remember, there were these leaflets that
Yes.
ShopRite would distribute every single week millions and millions of leaflets. And my first job, part of my first job, was checking product and price on that leaflet to make sure it was correct. That was part of my
Wow.
first job. Yes,
So like proper
exactly.
grunt work, like going through lists.
Proper grunt work. And then it got a little bit more exciting, and I did 160 characters on an SMS, you know? And so, I mean, then the world just completely unlocked. But so I started very, very junior at ShopRite, got promoted into marketing campaign manager for ShopRite, then assistant brand manager for ShopRite, brand manager for complementary business, which consisted of all the complementary brands that they have, which is Liquor Shop, USave, CompuTicket Travel, Mediarite. I might be forgetting a brand or two. I can't even remember. And then that's where I started in my proper first leadership role. I was managing 6 or 7 brands at the time within a business that really believed in marketing. And so being able to be a part of an organization where marketing is really considered as something that is respected in the business, you know, it was phenomenal, had a lot of autonomy, did fantastic things, but only had a team of 4 at the time. Then got promoted to ShopRite brand manager, then marketing manager for ShopRite and all the complementary businesses. I was there for about 11 years. I was there for a long time.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved my time there. I worked under Neil Schroeder, who obviously everybody knows is the creative genius that we have in South Africa today from a marketing perspective. And after 11 years, having had my first kid, I decided that I wanted to spread my wings and go elsewhere. I then landed up in my first executive role, so marketing executive role. It was a group marketing executive role for Makuru, which is a global remittance company and deals very much with foreign nationals who move around within either Africa or the UK, and they need to send money back home. And that's where I realized that I really love working with brands where the brand has a purpose, you know. ShopRite was all about low prices you can trust, getting the lowest price for the consumer because it was for the mass market, the low and middle income of South Africa, being able to feed your family, you know, and being able to afford that. And then going into the space of remittances, where it's people that are leaving their home, leaving their family to go elsewhere to work for them to be able to create a better life for their family back home. It's just a beautiful business, absolutely beautiful business. So that was my first real, if you want to call it, CMO role, where I was an executive. I sat on Exco, dealt very much with shareholders. I was thereafter poached into Capitec, which again, phenomenal business, a really great brand and brand proposition, great values behind that brand. Spent about a year there and decided that Ackermans was the space for me and been here ever since. So almost 2 years now and absolutely loving it.
I've definitely seen that thread of working with brands that are offering real services and value
Yeah.
to the average South African, like actually
Yeah.
affecting their lives in a positive way. Is that something that you've kind of always had in the back of your mind when choosing where to work, or was that kind of developed with your time at ShopRite?
I think it was developed with my time at ShopRite. I mean, when I was a media assistant at the media agency that I worked at while I was studying, I was just trying to make money to pay for my studies. You know, I was like, I just need to get through paying for my studies and then not skip too many of my car payments to my dad. So that was my goal, and then landing at ShopRite, being able to see what marketers can do and how marketers can affect consumers' lives and that mass market. I think that's where it was a little bit of a turning point for me, where I really want to be able to believe in the brand that I work for. I want to be able to work for a brand where I respect what the brand does and I respect the value that the brand brings to its consumers. And so I think that's where it was a turning point for me around the kinds of brands that I choose to align myself with need to align with my values. And that's what I've been doing consciously ever since.
And you can see that come out in your LinkedIn posts when you're talking about the work you do. There
Thank you.
is a real sense of pride about the Ackermans brand, what it's able to achieve, even with the people that you work with. it feels like, and obviously perception of social media and reality are two different
Sure.
things, but it definitely feels like you go home maybe tired, but very happy and proud with the work that you're doing, which is, it's a huge win. It's a massive win. I'm in the same similar space where, sometimes it's like, I'm not quite sure why I'm doing this in the long run, but then you see the big picture and it works
Totally.
out quite nicely. I just
Totally.
did also want to ask you, with your kind of story, as you've got into these positions, you also have a chartered marketer
Yeah.
title
Yeah.
from Masa. How important was getting that level to you? Was it very important for your current career path?
And so it differs, right? It differs depending on what your goals are. I have a little bit of imposter syndrome, and I think you put it in your mail as well. How did you get to where you are without a little bit of imposter syndrome? And so because I left university, had to work and study, I then therefore got my national diploma in marketing. I didn't get my degree in marketing. And so I always had this chip in my shoulder about like, I need to get that level of qualification, you know? And it was something that was almost irritating me because of the little bit of imposter syndrome. Even though I was super senior in my organization, it wasn't about
Mm.
that. It was about how I feel about myself and how do I compare to my colleagues and how do I compare to the industry. And so it was important for me, less so about it helping you get to the role that you need to get to. Because yes, it helps you get an interview potentially, but it's not going to help you necessarily get the job that you want to land. And so, even when I'm hiring today, yes, of course, education is important because it shows discipline and it shows that you have goals and focus. But university education, and I know lots of people will disagree with me, in my industry is not the be all and end all. I don't. We're not saving lives. We're not operating on people medically. I respect people that have gotten multiple qualifications. I've gotten multiple qualifications. However, I respect people as well on the other end who have gotten the street smarts, who have worked their way up in organizations as equally. So it's not an either or for me. To me, it's all about attitude. And so if you have the right attitude, it doesn't matter what qualification you have, you will end up where you want to end up at the end of the day.
Because I suppose you can always teach skills, you can send people for courses. It's a lot harder
Totally.
to change a whole attitude from a person,
Totally.
after the fact.
Exactly. Attitude is really key for me. And it's something that I really look for when it comes to hiring anybody that works in my department, because uh, people that are ambitious, that want to achieve, that are hungry, those are the guys that will give of themselves in ways that others won't necessarily do. And that is with or without qualifications. And so,
Mm.
hungry individuals with a positive attitude and a positive outlook on life, and that are always willing to step in and do the hard grind, even if it's, ticking IQF chicken product and price at the end of the day, like I did when I first started out. Those are the kinds of skills that actually it's not about talent. I mean, I was watching a video I think a few months ago where people spoke about things that are not innately, it's not talents, right? Some people are really talented in certain things. You can develop things that are outside of talent. If you have a positive attitude, you're extremely hardworking, and your outlook on life is, I can achieve, and my surroundings, I'm there to help my surroundings. I'm all about how I help make this brand better, and therefore I'll make myself better. Those are not things that you're in your DNA born with because I can sing or I can, you know, I'm able to style something or I have certain talent with numbers. Those are the kinds of things that you can have and you can develop over time, and it will get you really, really far in life.
Yeah, because everyone wants that person on that team, right? It's a team
Yeah.
dynamic. You want to make sure it's not bringing everyone else down, but actually
Yeah.
lifting other people up. We were talking earlier about the I almost said code switching, more like context switching is the is
Yeah.
the better word for this. As the marketing leader in your organization, like, you're the numero uno. We did mention all of the different things that your team not just is currently doing, but is looking forward to doing, new techniques, new activities. But right now, what are the big priorities for you as the marketing leader? What are the big focus points for you to deal with?
Right now, there are two things that are, I would say, opportunities. So I don't like to call things pain points or challenges. I like to call them opportunities because we can overcome absolutely everything. And it's how do you stay relevant as a brand in this ever evolving world of consumerism that we're currently in? I mean, as a consumer myself, you are thrown with marketing, advertising every single minute of every single day. So, A, how do you stand out from the rest, and how do you create a connection and build a connection with your consumer in a way where they have an understanding of who you are as a brand. So if you had to create a hotel of your brand, they'd know what it smells like, what it looks like, what the towels look like, what the bedding looks like, what kind of phone it's going to be. They have a good sense of your brand. And then if I'm speaking about context switching on the other end is how do I show ROI with
Mm,
regards to all these efforts from a marketing point of view to the business? Because marketing's not just pretty pictures, it's not just all the things that you see on the end that's like, oh, that's nice, that's cute, that's pretty. We deal very much with how we show return on investment, but return on investment in a way that is eloquently articulated to the audience that I have to articulate it to. Because the audience don't necessarily, my colleagues don't necessarily speak marketing speak, you know?
mm,
So engagement rates mean nothing to them. Impressions mean nothing to them. That's not the kind of ROI we're talking about. We're talking about like sales.
mm.
How do you show sales in basket, customer acquisition? That's the kind of context switching from how do you build brand on the one end and how do you then show the return on ad spend on the other hand to an audience that don't necessarily deal with marketing speak every single day.
And I guess that's where the maturity and seniority of a marketer is shown. There are thousands and thousands of great creative ideas, but unless you can make, like you're saying, make that connection to this is the business that we're trying to do. Are you
Yeah.
increasing business for us? Bottom line, and I know I had to go through this journey myself. Early on, it's like it doesn't matter about the bottom line. We want to make people laugh or have a good time. And like,
Yeah.
yes, those are all good things
Yeah.
if they're serving the ultimate goal of the business.
100%.
And I guess you spend a lot of your time marketing, doing marketing activities internally, right? Trying to sell the
Totally.
marketing story to people. Is that quite a challenge? Sorry, not a challenge. Is that, what was the word you used? Is that a great
Opportunity.
opportunity?
Great opportunity. Great opportunity. I've worked for organizations where marketing had to prove its worth. And I'm very blessed to work in an organization where my CEO believes in marketing. He was a CMO at a previous organization, which is very different for me. I've never worked for a CEO that was a CMO. I'm usually working for CEOs who are CAs. But he was a CMO, but he was also a chief operating officer. So he's a dynamic individual who understands business, right? Including marketing. So when I do go and have a conversation with him about building brand, it's not lost on him at all. He engages in those kinds of conversations. But yes, it is really important for marketing to marketing to the business, because what could be understood around marketing is that all we do is pretty pictures. Oh, you did a cute social media post. Oh, you did this. And so the way in which we do that is about bringing other departments closer to what marketing does. What I have a great opportunity to do is every quarter I'm able to present what marketing has done for the quarter and what's coming up for the next quarter to the entire business. That's fantastic. Every month we have what is called a leadership forum where my marketing team present to the leaders of the organization what marketing has achieved and what's coming up for marketing. And those kinds of opportunities just bring the business closer to our marketing department is doing amazing work.
Mm.
And so that when they do see the result of it through, whether it be a TV ad or a social media post, or they listen to something on radio, they know that it's not just that. it's a culmination of so many things because there was a story that we were trying to tell. And these were just some of the touch points that we were using to engage with our audience. So, yes, your marketing to the department of or to the business is extremely important. And it's something that's ongoing. It's not just a conference once a year, it's an always on that we have to do.
And I also find if you do spend a lot of time doing that, when you need support from other departments, they're not like, oh no, marketing's asking us to do another social media post where I have to do a TikTok dance.
Totally.
They see the bigger picture.
Yeah, they're not running away from marketing when they see marketing coming into the departments. And the thing is, in an apparel business, marketing work very closely with the buying departments because we market the merchandise that is bought, right? But also, like, as an example, we just shot our summer campaign yesterday. We're in the middle of winter. It's July. It was July yesterday, and it was raining. And so we don't have the product in stores yet, but the buying teams have to assist us to get the samples in specific sample sizes to get it to our marketing campaign. So these are the kinds of things, if you don't have a strong relationship with interdepartmentally, you're actually not able to do the job of a marketer, especially in this business.
Just maybe moving on to, you mentioned that over the last year and a half, you've added to your team. When you started in this position, how did you know that we needed to grow this team, that there was spaces that needed to be filled?
I could give you a very scientific answer, or I could just tell you I knew, because I walked in and I was looking at the processes at the time. I was looking at what was being delivered. I was looking at output. I was looking at the combination of all the supplies that we were using, and it just didn't feel right. There wasn't enough experience nor people that was behind the biggest, I would say, surge of a medium that we're currently experiencing right now, which is organic social. And that was a space where we needed to inject more creativity, we need to inject more experience, and we need to inject more people to be able to create solid content plans. And it's not just about content plans for a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's about plans that engage and connect with our consumer. And the reason why that was important was because it started with a revised and a refreshed brand strategy. And the brand strategy dictated where we had to focus, and therefore it was easy for me to see where the gaps were. And the gaps then showed to be in that space at the time. So yeah, always start with your strategy. It's not really a scientific answer. Whatever your strategy is and what your focus is, you'll be able to then tell, oh, if my focus is building brand and connecting with our consumers through digital and through video, do I have the capabilities within that space to do so? And if not, is it a people problem? Or is it a strategy problem? Or is it the time of the brand? It's a little bit too soon for the brand to be entering into that because the brand perception is not there. What is the problem? Identify the problem and then fill those gaps.
And I guess that feeling that you have, that's also informed by the strategy. That's from the years of experience that you've developed. You kind of get that gut going.
Yeah. I think like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I would have to leave a meeting afterwards and do a lot of reading around, ooh, somebody said this, somebody said that. That didn't sound right. What was that? What did that mean? What was that jargon that was used? Now, you sit in a meeting, if you don't understand something, you just say, that doesn't make sense to me. Just explain it to me again. And your gut does drive a lot of, from a creative standpoint at least, how you approach what creative work gets put out. It does also stem from how do you want to be perceived from a consumer perspective. So if you have an idea of what your brand perception, you want the brand perception to be. As an example, when it comes to Ackermans, we believe that we're a brand that brings joy, and we're a brand that we're a charming brand. We're SA's #1 kids retailer. I have 2 kids, and if you do have kids and you're a parent, you know that every day is different. And there are always going to be joyful moments, even in the crazy moments. And every parent thinks that their kids are the cutest kids ever. And if
but
you have
they're all wrong. My kids are the cutest kids
exactly.
ever. So.
It's your kids. It's your kids and my kids. Our kids are
yes,
our kids
exactly.
are the cutest kids ever.
We can have a tie on this one.
Totally. And so if you're a parent and now you're watching content of kids and you have a kid that's a similar age, automatically you're connecting to the brand because, oh my word, my kid just did that. Or, oh my word, I see that in my kid. And that's how you build a connection with your consumer. So that's how what we believe we are. We're a charming brand. We're a brand that likes to bring joy, and we like to celebrate the moments that parents get to experience every single day. And sometimes they're not fun moments, but we like to bring some sort of joy and fun in those moments, even in the crazies. And if you understand that, then it's easy for you to be able to articulate what your strategy is. And it's easy for you to be able to pinpoint what fits into your strategy and what doesn't fit into your strategy, what is just not right. So anything that's a little bit dark, that's a little bit too serious, that's not Ackermans, you know? And so if you know that, then it's easier for you to sit in meetings and be like, your gut is telling you something because it's linked back to what the strategy is, which is very, very consistent.
I guess that also helps going, again, like we're saying, marketing to the business, having
Yeah.
that strategy, having those answers. So when you're saying we need these 5 new roles to develop, which is, salaries and spaces in the office and all of the, admin that comes with adding people to a team, you're able to say, well, I'm not just saying it because I'd like to have more people around me. I'm saying it for these scientific reasons, which we haven't really gone
Totally.
into. But for someone like a CFO who might have to sign off on something like this, that's really helpful to see the strategy and the numbers behind it, and having that in the background really works. I have been taking so much of your time. I do have one more question if you have a little bit of time left for me.
Sure, no problem.
Part of the idea behind this podcast is also to help young marketers get access to people like you who maybe it would be a little bit difficult if you're just coming out of varsity, or maybe you're like same person as you were doing a completely different degree, and now you're thinking, wait a second, marketing's my vibe. So I would love to be able to give an opportunity for you maybe to give 1 or 2 pieces of advice to that person who is 18, 19, 20, 21, maybe even older if they're just getting started. What kind of advice do you have for that person who looks at you and says, I would love to be in that chair. I would love to have that blanket. I would love to have the people coming into my office at all times of the day to ask me questions. Bronwyn's now moved on to take over the CEO role, and they want to move into the CMO role. What advice do you give to people in that space?
I've been very consistent in my approach throughout my career. And my husband and I actually spoke about it last night. There are lots of people that are hardworking. Not everybody's career ends up in a role like CMO. And so I realized that I'm very blessed. But the combination of hardworking and putting my hand up for opportunities, even when it was outside of my realm of expertise. So I'll give you an example. When I was ticking off leaflets, product and price in the ShopRite office, the ShopRite marketing department, if anybody needed anything, whether it be a director, a receptionist, anybody in the organization needed anything that I could do, I'd be like, pick me, I'll do it. And that's how I was able to build relationships with people within the department and outside of the department, relationships that I still have today. And you can't get through life without people. You can't get through life alone. And what you can do is you can try and help somebody else in a way that benefits them, but also at the end of the day, you're learning, right? So I've learned so much through challenging myself and putting my hands up for things that I was completely scared to do, but I did it anyway. And so challenge yourself. Don't be afraid to take on opportunities or projects that are completely outside of your wheelhouse, because what's the worst that can happen? You ask for help and you get it done anyways, actually, especially if you have the mindset of, I will get it done. I'm a positive person. Nothing is impossible. So put your hand up, build relationships with the right people. Don't take people for granted, but also in your 20s, especially if you're either leaving matric now, you're going into studying now, or you're just graduated. I grinded, right? I was the first one in, I was the last one out. I knew my CMO was in early and he left late. So I found opportunities to be able to, even as a junior person who reported into somebody who reported into somebody who reported into somebody who reported into the person, to also have chats with him, whether it was early mornings or late nights, and just stop in the office, have conversations, and then you become part of their radar, you know? So I'd say grind, put your hand up for any and every opportunity, expose yourselves to things that are outside of marketing as well, because a marketer that understands how a business is run is a marketer that can be set above and beyond lots of other marketers. Don't specialize too much into one field, because a CMO's role is to understand everything, and you don't have to understand the depths of everything, but to be able to have a handle on everything is really important. So if you want to be sitting in this chair, which is my white chair with actually a Barbie pillow,
Who wouldn't?
so if that's your vibe, I mean, if that's your vibe, then don't specialize too much, unless that's what you want to do, which is fantastic and that's great, and you can be the best individual in that specialist role. But put your hand up for lots of opportunities. Put your hand up when it comes to CSI. Put your hand up when it comes to buying. Put your hand up if somebody's going out and they need to do store visits and they need to activate at a store. You know, put your hand up. Experience everything. Grind in your early days, especially before you have kids, because then you are going to be exhausted. And build strong and solid relationships with everybody and anybody. Nobody is too important for you to engage with, and you're not too important to be helping somebody else out ever.
A big thank you to Bronwyn for all of her insights and her time. If you want more conversations just like this one, don't forget to subscribe to the South African Digital Marketing Podcast or follow me on LinkedIn. I'll put all of those links in the show notes. Thanks so much for listening. This was the SA Digital Marketing Podcast.